Welcome to episode 2 of the as yet unnamed Beamer project. There's lots going on in this episode, so let's roll some titles so I can get on and tell you about it. Welcome to Making for Motorsports, where we make more, spend less and go faster. Well, we're trying to make this Beamer go faster, so we've got a fair amount to update you on. We've got the MOT test, which is terrifying when the car is 20 years old, trying to convince the man that this is still safe to have on the road. It's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna change out some tyres. We've got some new shiny bits to bolt onto it. We've only got to pick the name. You guys have sent in some fantastic suggestions, so we've got to get them sorted out. And yes, there's a small matter of the rolling road. That should be disappointing. We'll see. Right, let's get stuck in.
So first things first, the car's not actually road legal at the moment without an MOT, so that's the first thing on the job. So I booked one, jumped in the car and arrived at the MOT station, which involves handing over your keys to a sometimes lovely man who then passes judgment on your car against a bunch of criteria to make sure it's safe. Okay, so it failed, but it's not actually as bad as I thought it'd be. Yeah, there's like 9 points, but only 2 are like fails. The rest are what we call advisories. So we've got brake pad on the back less than 1.5 mil thick. I don't think so, but they need doing anyway because they're rusty as anything. Bit trickier, carbon monoxide content after second fast idle. It got 0.54%. and it should be at 0.3%. I've got a plan. All the rest are just like a spare tyre not blown up. I'm missing a rubber mount from the exhaust. My tyres are nearly worn out, but I'm going to replace them anyway. Our rear brake discs look a bit knackered, so let's give the whole back end of the car a bit of a birthday, because also near side rear handbrake low on efficiency. We need the handbrake to work. Let's go get some bits. As we all know, there's nothing that goes wrong with cars that can't be fixed with a bit of money, so off we went to the shop to spend some. Fortunately, bits for this car are still dead easy to get hold of. They've got them all in, and we're one shop and done. And then we had to fit them. A job which was as easy as it was boring, and the only excitement was some of the fasteners didn't want to come off simply because they hadn't been undone for a while. But now we've got some nice fresh brakes on the back. The only failure item we need to attend to is the emissions, and that's where this stuff comes in. Now, I can be conflicted when it comes to this stuff, bouncing between very useful and snake oil. This one apparently does 8 things, but the one thing I'm really after is helping passing your MOT. Now, even if it might be snake oil, I figure, well, what have I got to lose? Because I've got another plan to get it through the emissions, and that's to get it hot, to get that catalytic converter roasty toasty, get that engine so warm that the oil pressure lights on at idle. Ooh, okay, maybe that's a bit too warm. Yikes. And like an automotive Groundhog Day, here we are at the test centre again, keeping everything crossed that what we've done to the car has fixed it and it will get a pass. Or, if it hasn't worked, that our transparent attempts to build rapport with the tester man will inspire him to take pity on me and pass it anyway. So before I give you the results of the second MOT test, and in a rather blatant attempt to build some tension, let's do the naming ceremony. So we had lots of great suggestions. You'll see a few of them around here. Too many to go through individually, but I thank you very much for your interaction and your comments. Please keep it coming. Anything else you want me to do with the car or any ideas, put them in the comments below. But we do have a few honourable mentions to go through, and in fact one dishonourable mention, but we'll come to that. First on the list was Bratwurst by Nicky Andre 6998. I like bratwurst. We all like a bit of sausage, don't lie, everyone does. Next one was Project Panzer by David Rook Bates 5530. It is a bit of a tank, to be fair, so I do like this. We have Dash Stubby by Christopher Alexander at 8763. Now he says pseudo-dramatic German flair. I mean, I've met many Germans. Dramatic flair is not necessarily a thing I would associate with them, but ruthless efficiency, so it would be das Stubby. Anyway, the Dusseldorf from Internet. This nearly won, and the only reason it's not is because BMW is not from Dusseldorf, it's from Munich. But yeah, take a bow. I like it. Which only then leaves us to reveal the winner, which is Project Rally 36. Now, it's simple. Oh, it's lovely. E36, Rally 36. I can't get enough of it. I like it. So, Slopsia, you've won, my friend. Thank you. Project E36. Let's raise a glass. So there was one dishonourable mention that, I mean, I've had to see it, so you guys should do too. Well, Project Cutbutt by Piranero. You're a scary man, my friend. Seek help. And the rosy cheeks emoji. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, that's the naming done. So Project Rally 36. I like it a lot. So where were we? Yes. Oh, yeah. It passed. Cast your mind back to a few videos ago when I first introduced the car, and there were a couple of points I said needed immediate improvement.
Well, at the moment it's got 4 of the finest mismatched Chinese ditch finders at each corner, so I think we're going to have to improve that, because at the moment it understeers round left-hand corners and oversteers round right-hand corners. So as entertaining as that is, I'm going to want something that's slightly more predictable.
So I'd got myself a set of decent tyres, Michelin Pilot Sport 3s, as a bargain, because these are part worns discarded from some race series. Either way, plenty of life left in them for me, so I returned to the old garage and the manual tyre changing post. Now, these are quite useful if you don't change a huge amount of tyres and you're not too fussed about any damage to your rims, and you like a workout, because they can be quite tricky. But once you've got the technique down, they're really quite a useful piece of kit, and one of these makes all the difference, trust me. So, do that another 3 times and I've got myself a full set of tyres. But there were other moans from the first video.
On low traction, like in the wet, it lurches from side to side and it's a bit dead in the middle, so I think the tracking's a little bit out. I think it's towing out a bit.
So this was an easy enough fix and gave me a chance to break out my favourite bit of ghetto alignment gear, my alignment plates. Now these are 2 pieces of 3mm steel that you lean against the tyre wall that have slots in for tape measures. Read off the numbers on the tape measures, and if they're the same, the wheels are pointing parallel. Front one's larger, it's towing out, back one's larger, it's towing in. I didn't dream this up, these are copies of a long acre piece of kit, but quite honestly, when it's this simple, I'm just going to make it, not buy it. So taking the measurement, we ended up with 18.05mm at the front and 18.25mm at the back, an overall difference of 20mm, which translates with these size of plates to about 2¼ degrees toe in, which explains why it was handling a bit weird. So this was easily fixed, just getting underneath the car, slackening off the jam nut and winding the track control arms in or out of the joints as required, until we had a touch of toe out, which is what I'm going for, because that should give me a little bit more responsiveness and no dead zone in the middle. So what we've done so far hasn't really made the car much better, it's just took away some of the bad habits that make it nicer to drive in conditions like this. It's not really made it any faster though, and down the lanes you can still feel it wallow and wobble all over the place. So it's about time we bolted on some of those lovely shiny bits that we saw in the last video. First up, suspension. Same as the rear brakes earlier in this episode, I'm not going to go through this blow by blow because a lot of you will have done jobs like this on your own cars, so you'll all know the joy of rusty fasteners and old fasteners and rusty old fasteners that don't want to come apart because they've been done up for 20 years and they're quite happy being nice and tight. If you've done struts before, you too will know the sheer blinding terror of coil spring compressors. I've had one of these fly off before and it was terrifying. This is one job I'd suggest you are not well hydrated for. Fortunately this was uneventful, we got the car back together and you can see here the difference between the old dampers when I press them and the new dampers. So after the front, it made lots of sense to do the back, and these were much easier with only 2 nuts for the top mount and 1 large bolt holding the bottom of the damper to the swing arm. In fact, the hardest thing about this whole job was removing the interior trim to get to the top mounts themselves. And that's it, all 4 dampers, and this car should drive a hell of a lot better now than it did before.
So before I even try and make this car go faster in a straight line, we're going to go set down a baseline. So we're off to CC Tuning Limited in Burton-on-Trent, and they've got a rolling road where excuses stop and numbers reveal the truth. So how much will it have? It had 143 from the day it was born in Germany, but that was 20 years ago and 187,000 miles ago. So if it's got 120, I'll be a happy man. Let's find out.
So once it was on, strapped down, it was time for the bloke to give it death. Now, if you've not done a rolling road session with your car before, I highly recommend it, but I guarantee you'll have the same impression everyone does. Now, it really shouldn't be surprising that a car running flat out with essentially 100 mile an hour road speed only 10 feet away from you is loud, but yeah, for some reason it always seems to surprise me. So, first run done.
So, apparently just over 100 at the wheels, about 115 at the fly. Not ideal, but not surprising. So, time for the last run. So what was the verdict? Well, it was a rather lukewarm 128 horsepower, and I'll throw the graph on screen there. You know, it's all nice and smooth. There's a worrying dip around 4,000, which I think aligns with what the Rolling Road guys said. It went very rich around that time, which I think is when the fuel pressure regulator basically stopped regulating and just went like, right, you're having full pump pressure. There's definitely some work to be done there. That could be mapped out. Generally, what he said is these engines generally need a lot more timing, so there's some wins to be had there. But yeah, it weren't running well. It sounded all right. You know what? I'm happy with that. It's enough to be getting on with, and it's a starting point. It's a starting point. That's what it is. That's what all we needed was a starting point. So, what to do next? Well, I was in the garage last night stripping this down. Oh yes. So, those who know will know pretty much what we're going to be doing next episode. Right then, so if you're still watching this now, thank you very much. Hit the thumbs up like it's going to give me extra horsepower. Just smash it. Bang, 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 bang. But only an odd number of times, otherwise you'll thumbs up it. Anyway, doesn't matter. Make sure it's thumbed up. And if you want to help the channel out even more, there's always the Patreon, and their names should be going along here or along there, or you'll see them. But there's also merch, which I haven't really plugged. It's been around for a year. I haven't really plugged. This is a lovely hoodie. See? Hoodie. It's on the website. I'll put a link down in the description. You know, if you fancy wearing your favourite obscure tech, geek-based YouTube channel on your chest, well, yeah, this is how you can do it. That's it for this one, guys. There'll be another one along soon, I promise. And, oh, hello. That's a bit wet. Yeah, so if you can't be good, be good, and if you can't be good, don't get caught. Wow, that was that was surprising.